Okay, anyone got any question for me so far? Oliver, are you applying for any overseas universities? Yeah, but where you want to go? Stanford. Which course? Just MBA. Okay. Also want to show you that I just had a webinar, like, when was that? 13 days ago. On I took the angle of regional cooperation and how business cultures would change. So you can go and listen to this webinar. All right. All right. So as I was saying, the whole purpose was to extract natural resources, and Sujie said it was mercantilism, very obvious. And the contemporary MNCs are having a broader range of businesses. So if you study economics, they call it economics of scope. They have broadened their scope, and which means to say the production network has become more complex, and the amount of goods and services have diversified. Okay, so what has it gone into? It has gone into technology today, which is a lot of us are using smartphone. Okay, so the rise of MNCs was positive relationship to the rapid rapid technological advancement that we saw. Okay, so in the 1970s we saw the rise of MNC. So we also see a lot of companies and corporations started to adopt new technologies, and work processes were reduced. All right, and that actually allowed the MNCs to consolidate more power. Okay, so the MNCs have a wider range of activities across the world these days. Very interesting. So they don't call themselves East India Company anymore. They call themselves multinational corporation or transnational corporation. Okay, but the principle remains the same. Where you see the MNCs of a particular country, from a particular country, consolidate a lot of their investments. Let's say the US. The US has a lot of investment in Singapore. Then you see that their military presence in this country is also very high. Okay? So there are not many countries in the world with an Interpol office. Anyone is aware where's the Interpol office in Singapore? Huh? Nasir Road. Tanglin. Last time it used to be Tanglin Police Station. That Tanglin Police Station is now Interpol. Yeah, it's a Nasim name or whatever. So you see the amount of investment in Singapore is mainly military or defense industry by the Americans and the British. So there are people who say that, you know what, Singapore, is a Chinese state, more likely will align itself to China, and China will have a lot of influence over Singapore. If you just look at from that perspective of the kind of businesses and the technology that we get from the Americans and Interpol office here, then you will know that actually Singapore remains a proxy of the British and Americans. If you go to RSIS, the resident scholar is actually the former MI6. Okay, so you can go and search the person. And then the one who taught me defense economics was also advisor to MI6, Ron Matthews, Professor Ron Matthews. Okay, so Singapore is very pro-Anglo-Saxon. And now we will see Malaysia, the UMNO wins again. The British are going to build relationship with UMNO. In any case, who was the one that created UMNO? It was the British that created UMNO. No way the Malays will come out with a name called United Malay National Organization. Because they will come out with Barisan Nasional, Perikatan, all these Malay names, Pakatan Harapan, but they will never put a name called United Malay National Organization. But the Chinese party called Democratic Action Party. Okay, so that was also a construct of the British, because the Democratic Action Party was actually People's Action Party, Malaya. Okay, so the Malayan Chinese Association also was a British construct, because in those days the Chinese were promoting Chinese education. So there's no way the Chinese will put themselves as Malaysian Chinese Association. So you can see the puppet master was the one that created the construct of how to divide and rule the Chinese and the Malays across the peninsula. All right. So in doing so, they wanted to secure Singapore as its location to contain China. The whole purpose of Singapore was actually, if you look at, I will just go through this now. 1842. Navigation Act. Okay. So you can go and read this. So this Navigation Act is in compliance with the British wanting to secure its interests as the freedom of navigation. It started from there. So we all know the British came in 1819 to Singapore. And in 1824, what happened? Anyone knows? We were called what? Penang, Malacca, Singapore, called what? Straits Settlement. And 1842, they had the Navigation Act. Okay? So the Navigation Act, or the principles of the freedom of navigation, started with the Navigation Act. So today, when the British step forward, they say they want to protect that freedom of navigation. That they are the one that created this freedom of navigation based on the Navigation Act. So I have a classmate who was from RSIS. He went to study international law, and his thesis, PhD, was on the freedom of navigation. Alvin, his name was. Okay, so if you want to go further, you want to pursue international law, you can. It will be a great place to go to Britain and study the navigation law. You don't need to study PhD, but you can study a 1-year master's, and you can be an international lawyer, they call it. I don't know what the hell that means, but basically you represent Singapore government to maybe disputes of Petra Branca or whatever, I do not know. Okay, so in Britain it's very special. We're not like our law school. You have to go through, get A levels grades and all this. If your UOL degree, you can just study a 1-year law degree, specializing, let's say, corporate law or international law or whatever, community law or something like that. Okay, and usually the place that will recognize you and allow you to practice, a lot of people go to Hong Kong from Britain. Okay, Singapore, of course, they have this one cannot, that one cannot. Must ask Shamugam sign, then he happy, he sign, not happy, don't sign. But Hong Kong, you can go and practice law over there. Okay? So what you see in IPE, the notes, they don't tell you a lot of things here. The MNCs are actually representing the interests of the core states there. Okay, so the G7 will have MNCs. So the Japanese production network, I've already said to you, created out of the Asian Japanese developmental state model. Today we have the Korean production network. Okay, all these are actually allies of America. So America will use all these allies to contain China. Okay, to make it more exciting, now they put Britain forward to try to negotiate with China on Hong Kong. Okay, so China would not want to go to that piece of act called the Navigation Act because it's considered humiliation to the Chinese. Okay, that act eventually led to the event of 1898. What happened in 1898? Hong Kong fell. Okay, 1900. No, 1900. Yeah, 1900. Macau fell to the Portuguese. Okay, so these are things that they don't want to negotiate. So the British want to hold them to the United Nations to debate and rewrite the rules together. But of course, China will not want to write the rules. So every sector you have the global production, you have the MNCs. They control the production network. So today the MNCs are more exciting. They're called venture capital firms. Okay, InQtel is another MNC. I've said this to you. Okay, a venture capital firm of the CIA, linked not directly to the Republicans of Labor, but Republicans or Democrat, but it's linked to the American state, American government. All right. So what does it mean with all these production network that they have? Economists do not look at these three things that we always talk about, the hierarchy. Okay. And all they think about is technological spillovers from the MNCs to the developing countries. Everybody looking at technological spillovers. We must welcome MNCs. Then there's technological spillovers. Then you know what? We study the right subject. Yeah. You know. So basically, right? They missed out on something. They missed out on the world system. They do not understand the material force, okay, of globalization, the primary agent of globalization. Okay, but you have a better view of it. You have a broader view of it. And you would also start to try to entertain the idea of how to develop SMEs at the same time. Okay, economists will do that, but they are not quite clear about that. Okay, they don't know what is this thing called economic nationalism. So just give you an example. I had a friend who was working for MAS, called himself a chief, not he called himself, but they gave him the title chief economist. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about Donald Trump. That time was 2016. Okay, but he doesn't understand what is mercantilism. He doesn't know what is mercantilism because he's a hardcore Singapore economy statistics SPSS. So I say today you see the rise of Donald Trump, and earlier we saw the Brexit. It is the rise of mercantilism. Then he looked at me. Oh, what is that? What is that? It's the end of neoliberalism. And what is that also? Okay, they don't know all these things. But for you, you have a bigger picture. For them, they understand the structural view of the global economy. So when the change in compliance led to the resignation of him at MAS, because whatever he was observing as statistics, dependent variable and independent variable, if you know what I'm talking about, you understand statistics. Okay, the independent variables are the ones that influence the sustainability of the Singapore economy. Okay, so there are many variables you look at. And all these independent variables are not functioning as it used to function. Then he didn't know what to do. So he resigned. So he go on and be a researcher altogether. And try to understand what the hell is going on. Okay? So when I told him that Donald Trump has won the election today, or it was November something, 2016, I think MAS is going to be in deep trouble. The Sing dollar will go up for a while, and one day you will crash because you will borrow more money. True enough, we are borrowing more and more money. Okay? So at some point, you will see the Federal Reserve going to increase interest rate. So the pandemic just delayed the increase of interest rate. Go read the news today. Last night, the Federal Reserve has already signaled that they're going to increase interest rate. So the emerging economies, what's that? But they will do it already. Yes. So when they do it, I'll show it to you now. In March, so from now the market will price in for March. You know what's the meaning of priced in or not? This is a financial thing. When it's priced in means they predict today what the price will be in March. So what do you think the thing will be? So Singapore, I'm telling you, the interest rate is 0.25. Is it sustainable? The interest rate in the world market is 0.25. You can borrow at 0.85 for a housing loan. That's why the property price keeps shooting up. And for 2020 and 2021, Singapore had an inflow of $200 billion. So you see the property price spike like that. At 0.85, they use, let's say I got $5 million. I say this is my deposit. I want to borrow $4 million at 0.85. The banks will lend them, right or not? So, but then they cannot draw their money. But the moment the property price crash and they face liquidity problem, what they will do? They sell, everything sell, and then they want to get as much cash as possible. So if one person do, it's okay, you know. But if everybody do it together, it's called domino effect. So we are in the process, or we are entering the Asian financial crisis. This is what happened in 1997, 96. So the young people should start cheering. The price drop. Yeah. BTO will drop. Okay? But your parents will be very sad. Because as much as they are happy you get married with a cheaper house, they'll be very sad they cannot brag that their HDB flat can be 1.2 billion or 1.3 million or 1.5 million. So everybody is cheering the PAP when they go 1.5. Duxton 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. Lee Kuan Yew, where are you? Wake up. Okay, so the Federal Reserve points to interest rate hikes in March. Okay, first thing they do is to have lesser US dollar in the market. The second thing they do is to raise interest rate. This is exactly what happened in 96 and 97. What's that? I can't hear you. The 08 was worse because that one was bonds that's leveraged that never existed, that is all bad debt. This one is people borrow from the banks. Okay? But the effect in Singapore, you're going to see more homeless people. You know what kind of homeless people? People who bought property. So let's say they bought at 1.3 million. The property price dropped to 800,000. They have to top up 500,000. Don't have, for sale. For sale becomes 600,000. You still owe the bank 700,000. So where do you stay? Either you stay on the street or you run away, go Thailand and become a beggar or whatever. So that happened in 1997, 98. Yes, seriously. A lot of bankrupts ran away from Singapore. So you see a new group of people coming to Singapore, very enthusiastic about Singapore. Why? Because the price dropped. Very cheap, let's buy, buy. That's how the system works here. So the Malaysians that were affected and got burned, right, they go back Malaysia and then they hide. But the new Malaysians come here, wow, Singapore so cheap now. Wow, like that can on, buy. But my friend, he lost a lot of money. That day, he 1.5, now 800 can buy. Half price already, that can buy. Go and bargain. So every time there will be new people that come and replace the system. Then you push up the price again. But I'm not sure this time around how long it will last. Because if it drags and it melts down, right, and the world economy has changed, it will not recover like V like that. It will go U. And this U, they drag until Lee Hsien Loong go to the grave or not, I do not know. They drag the U. So you have to be careful. Do not for a moment think that it will come very quickly. IMF see potential for further market turbulence as central banks height rates. So this is what I want to tell you. IMF. So Taman Shanmugaratnam will be there listening to all this. He already told you, you go and Google, Taman say, please be more prudent with your borrowings. Not that he tell you, he knows it. IMF told him already. Taman, tell your people. Then he like, let me just tell you that we have to be more prudent in the way we invest in property. Full stop, that's it. Then you die already, right? I said that already, okay? Okay, so the MNCs are the one that will, that create the production network. But while the financial market will go through turbulence, the MNCs will continue to re-engineer the industries. Actually, it is great that the market goes down because things get cheaper for them. So governments will be on their knees for them, on their bended knees. Please help us. Well, I can help you. I can create jobs for you. So now maybe tax-free. The land is cheap. Yeah. It is a business cycle thing. So what is a business cycle then? To you, your word is business cycle. But to Marx, it's called capitalism is inherently unstable. But in contemporary economics, we call it business cycle. Okay? So the mainstream economists, right, I wouldn't say they are Marxists. They look at business cycle. But they don't say it's Marx because it's like, we are not Marxists, we're not socialists or whatever. They call it business cycle. But in philosophical sense, right, they got the idea from the observations of Marx. Okay? So governments don't like people to study Marxism for this reason. Because Marxism has one downside. When they say inherently unstable, everybody go on the dark side, like try to be Robin Hood or Batman. But the truth is, if you are contemporary, there will be up and there will be down. So what goes down must come up. So if you are the government, you are bureaucrats, what will you do? Oh, now it's down, so let us all upgrade our skills. But you have a whole country, everybody who believes in Marxism, let's upgrade our skills. You mean what? You're going to exploit us again, is it? So it's very hard to govern the people. So they put it in such a way, it's called business cycle, which is not wrong, okay? Because if you look at it carefully, all of us in this lifetime would like to achieve something, a mission, right? Though the mission cannot be everything, just pull down government. That's not a mission. The mission is actually to explore your own ability. So when it's downturn, is the time you really explore your own ability. Okay? So you should use Marxism as an analysis to get insights. But you shouldn't be on the side of using it to, discredit the system and there's no way out. Because if you use that, right, you are on the side of Batman and Robin Hood. Always very dark. The Prince of Thieves. Like Chi Sun Juan. That kind of bullshit. Or Tan Ji Se. Let's take out 200 billions and give to people as startups. That is really Santa Claus. Doesn't make sense at all. But at the end of it, of giving 200 billion to the people, they still do not explore their capability. What's the point? Okay, so you have to be very careful. So now, the governments, right, they know that the MNCs are the main driving force behind technological innovation. Okay, and they have influence over the government because they are the ones that create jobs for the government. A lot of people think that the government create jobs for us. No, the government comply with the MNCs that will create jobs for us. So I can say this to you. Tomorrow you take away all the PAP ministers. You put all of us in there, all the ministries. We just need to comply with what the MNCs want. Singapore will still run the same as it is. Okay? And to make it more exciting, all of us will be wearing nice dress or suit. Okay? And then we will have scripted speeches. And then we make our speeches. That's all you need to do. Is that a big deal? Is it very difficult? Jiang, can you do it or not? You cannot. Can, right? I mean you minister for communication and information. Control all the information. Then I made him a minister for sports. Okay, then I made her minister, this one minister for culture. Oh, the dance. Okay. Then I make Nazri minister for foreign affairs. Okay. Then I make Gabriel minister for home affairs. Okay. Then I make Oliver minister for defense. Because he look like general like that. He stand down there wear the suit. Then the one behind, what's his name? The cap? Huh? The both of you. The one in the cap is what? I can't hear it. Nick. Oh, okay. Nick. Nick. Nick looks more like the sustainability one. So the environment. Okay. Then the guy behind, Minister for Education, very radical one. Okay. I think he will do a better job than Chan Chun Sing, right? Okay. Then that one, what's her name there? Niha. Niha, I made her minister for. I will have a new ministry. Women's and what's the other one? Social welfare. Okay. So that one over there, his son look like activist. You look like activist. Reformasi. Okay. So you see, all you need is just compliance. So they say that these people study very hard and all this because they just understand what to say and how to say it. Okay. And the MNCs are comfortable with them because they understand the standards that the MNCs produce there. And what these bureaucrats that they've been doing, a lot of those that are called very successful states they're trying to, create robustness in the commercial linkages. That's what they do. I'm sure you all can do the same thing. So do not discredit yourself and say, voila, SIM or what, and this and that, all rubbish. All you need to know is what is that compliance all about. That's all you need to know. Okay, it's nothing exciting, nothing different. The difference between you and the NUS and NTU people will be the main difference will be is that they have the opportunity to understand the compliance because they are in employment in those fields there, while you are not allowed. If you put you there, right, after a while you observe, right, like that I think diploma also will know lah. Okay, don't need to be MBA lah. All these MBA is just to justify that they are capable. It's just a signal. But they didn't create those industries to begin with. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. We should have a paradigm shift altogether. Actually, a lot of people that I met at SIM, they are very enterprising people, but their confidence level quite low actually, because they say, but we are SIM, so what? So what? So I give you one example. You are SIM, right? I give you this example. This person is SIM, very SIM. Not this one. Have you heard of this company? Let me see the name. Where she studied SIM, or she put. Huh? Don't want to control. Oh, I don't know which article, but she was studying at economics and management at SIM. Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe you can just see her profile. That UOL, Economics and Business Management. Well, those people online can't see it. I show you now. Okay, the founder of, I know ladies will know this, Kane Inc. Don't know. So she go and learn artificial intelligence. She's from HP, I think, if I'm not wrong. And she learned artificial intelligence. Then she got this eczema problem. And then she go and find a way to come out with skincare that is tailor-made for each skin based on artificial intelligence. Okay? So the husband and her came out, and then today she shakes hands with Dyson, and Safiro, whatever the name is has already housed her product. And how do I know all this? This one was a poly classmate. Yeah, this one was a party queen. Big time party queen. Big time. Okay? So if you're a party queen, doesn't matter. All you need at some point to find your own ability. But for the time being, when she went to the workforce, she was looking at studying all the IT stuff. And eventually she discovered that, this could be used for the business. Okay, so SIM got a lot of people who are talented. I don't want to tell you, I know a lot of ex-students, or they do businesses and all these things. So, okay, but of course, you need one professor or lecturer who is mad one to tell you this. First and foremost, please listen to yourself. A lot of students, right, they come here, they are unaware of what their own ability is, or how capable they can be. They just study for the sake of studying. Okay, so if you really want to really do anything, just stay focused on that thing. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about money. You have the skill, money come and look for you. There's no way you got skill, no money on. You ever see a person who got skill, no money? You go and ask yourself this question. You go and find one person who is very skillful in something he's doing, but no money, is broke. Unless he's a gambler. Yeah? So if you are a carpenter, right, of course, you're just a simple follow instruction carpenter, then you're good for nothing. That's not skill. That's compliance. But if you are carpenter, right, you can design something that is really, you sell one piece like that by the thousands of dollars, people buy it because it's authentic, then why not? But people find it as a dirty job. They say, hey, this one Bangla also do that. Wait, he saw that, I also saw that, very shy. There's nothing to be shy. But when you go to Italy, wow, those people are so creative. They also saw what? Oh my God. Look at the Italians. They make the shoe that they pull the skin, then they put the glue so nice. But Singaporean do, need to study, man, this one. You see? So that's why you all discredit yourself. But Italians do, what they explain you, the Italian accent, everybody find it damn exciting. Italian make pizza for you, yours say taste so crispy. But Singapore people make for you, it's called foreign worker. So, but actually you all don't appreciate the skill. Okay? The foreign worker one, the thing not nice, what you want to buy for what? So why don't you just think of a way to produce the food that is so nice that people can appreciate? That is a skill that you can, that's a service you can offer. Okay, for you, you're stuck with the service is to come out something like Grab, come out like Uber, Microsoft operating system. It's not that way, You just see what's the gap in the market, and then you can produce. That's great. Okay, so the state has not gone to that stage yet in Singapore, where they should look at the human capital as a real resource that they can discover their own ability. Okay, but what has really happened, as what Susan Strange have said, power shift from the state to the MNCs. So which means in the process, to put it more correct, what has happened? There is collectivization that has happened. So you have this mobility of resources from the rural area, tailors that were great. My grandfather, uncle, all were tailors. Chefs that were good, but their children all started to study engineering and wanted to work at Raffles Place, sell investment-linked products. Do you know that traditionally among the Chinese, who are the very good with Western food? Hainanese. Yeah. Why? Yeah, they were the chef for the British Army. Yeah. And today you see the restaurants like Jack's Place or what Hans outside the National Library downstairs, or Hanis has changed his name also. A lot of them are Hainanese. The British are the one who taught them what is stewed beef and all these mutton. Every time I whack, because my uncle married one Hainanese woman. Every time I go to the house, the Hainanese woman, the father cooked one time because he used to work for the British Army. What damn show. Best. They know how to make beef steak, all kinds of things. Even the Johor Sultan, after the British left, he took all the chef from the British Army and put inside his royal kitchen. Okay? So all these are gone because the Hainanese people, their children go and study university and try to be don't know what. They don't continue the restaurant business. Very few. So you say Singapore got no talent? No, I don't think so. Singapore really have a lot of talent. Okay? So if you really go to our history, that's where you see the talent there. But then in the process that we modernize, there is consolidation of power of the state. They collectivize everything. At the same time, the MNCs control them with greater compliance in place. Okay? But there's a thing that we missed out. There could be a MNC alliance with the SMEs, which Malaysia enjoyed. Malaysia enjoyed that because Malaysia have more SMEs compared to Singapore. Their stock market is real private SMEs. Our stock market are not the real SMEs, are like, former department of EDB kind of bullshit, or former department of some ministries. So you see like top gloves in Malaysia wasn't anything to do with the Bumi Putras or all these people. Okay, so you have a rubber company, you have a tin company. So actually, although it was a Malay capitalist world that is to develop strategic industries, they still have that SME. So if you ask me, right, it's more sustainable in a sense that even if the government down there, the Bumi capital collapsed, there is this baseline that the private sector, the real private sector, not the ones created by the government, that can hold the economy. Okay, so I think, but the problem is down there, the Malaysian Chinese also want to become like, working class people. Very strange. I don't understand why. I say, why you want to leave Malaysia? Malaysia got so many opportunities. You don't understand. We are discriminated. Then set up your business. Then we need a license, but you can bribe them, right? Okay. So Indonesia also same. You have increasingly you have a thick set of family business down there. So when MNCs come in, my advice to them was to continue to upgrade the family business. So if you are from Indonesia, Malaysia, or wherever you're from, India or whatever, continue to upgrade your family business. Okay, you want to talk more about that? You can go ahead. Can come and talk to me. But what happened was the rapid industrialization. Everything was within a legal framework here. Okay, that provided the state the opportunity to consolidate power. It's legal, but what has it created? Remember, when the MNCs get hold of you and there's a power shift, what happens? It goes back to the first part of our discussion. Moral hazard will happen. Okay, so if there are these SMEs that were upgraded together with the MNCs, development of global production network, wow, then it will be very expensive, very modern, rapid, and inclusive. But if mainly state-owned enterprises, then a lesser of SMEs, then you actually created a lot of moral hazard in the domestic economy. What do I mean by that? A lot of people with the right skill, the skills that are not within the selected industries, they will be sidelined. So for example, if they want to move away from agriculture sector and into the engineering sector, a lot of farmers will be sidelined. Instead of upgrading the skills of the farmer to incorporate technology to ensure food security, what they do? They kill them, they build more condos and more factories, and then they import food. That happened in Malaysia, and that happened in Singapore. So now they are saying pandemic, we need to look at food security. Who's the one who killed it? You lah. Okay? So if you are in agriculture sector, which is my distant cousin in Malaysia, I say, you know what, you're damn stupid. Why you want to go and become a vet? Your father got a bloody big plantation, why you go and become a vet? Just put some dogs to play around at the plantation. I want to be vet for what? It's so great. Don't want to give up. They sold the land. Then come Singapore, become vet. That family business was 3 generations. They give up and become a vet. You say, no, but that one is not my cup of tea. Then, it's very tough. But a lot of companies, if the government were to put in effort to make agriculture as a strategic industry and to help the family businesses, I don't think it would have been a vet. Okay? So this is something the state actually missed out. Singapore has 0 agriculture now. 0. The only agriculture is the government's agriculture business, not our business at all. Okay? So you can be sure, Singapore Hougang will never vote for PAP because all the former Punggol farmers are in Hougang and now also some parts of Sengkang. So Hougang and Sengkang, they will cut their hand then to go back to PAP. They hate the PAP because the land there was for farming. The government called it state land. Based on this word here, legal framework. They roll out a bill in Parliament called Land Reform Act, 1966. That was the start of the end. 1966. You can go in. It's inside the parliamentary bill. 1966, Land Reform Act. Finish. Okay? So Malaysia also, the Chinese farmers there, they were asked to leave. Why? Bumi Putra. I show you the video on Guthrie. Give it to the Felda, came over for the Chinese. So they got more money, they raise more money, they buy the land from the Chinese. So that was a political project also. Because if we have more Malays in the farmers, right, and Malays in the rural area, that's where you can spread out your votes, right, and then you can always sustain your legitimacy. Okay, that's how they do it. All right, that is the state. But the MNCs at the same time, they are complying, like on their bended knees there. Okay, and in doing so, the process of doing so, they created a lot of infrastructure. So in this slide here, number 9, I want to explain this to you. Take a look at it for 1 minute. So you see Kerate Zoo there, you see DBS, which is our DBS, you see MRT, which is our MRT. Okay, SG is Singapore, MITI, Ministry of Trade and Industry. Okay, and you have the Japanese Trade and Industry, and you have the supplier network there. Okay, just look at this for a minute. I just want to summarize whatever in this slide rather than go through all the slides. So when you read this slide, when you see this slide, you read all the rest of the slides, you'll get it. You got questions? Just ask me now. What is this? What is that? Just ask. So we talk about how the government, after they collectivize the land, they want to develop MRTs, build MRTs. Modernization. Okay? Now Malaysia, same also. They got 7 or 8 lines. I go Kuala Lumpur, wow, got so many lines. Let's take the train. Got 1 line, go Kajang Stadium. Wow, come out. Kajang satay best. The best Kajang satay. You ever eat Kajang satay? Never. You must eat. You must go KL on there. The Kajang satay. Kajang. Okay, nowadays got Google. You Google MRT to Kajang satay. Just come out straight, you see it. All right. So anyone got any question online before I explain to you? Hello, are you still alive or not? Don't sing. Felicia can hear or not? Oh, I think they are watching Netflix. Okay, so when the government collectivized the land, the whole purpose was to build MRT, a transportation system. And that is to increase productivity and efficiency, movement of people. And the other thing you can also look at is, in replace of MRT, you can put Changi Airport, the seaport, all these are the same. So I just give the MRT example. So they they comply with what the Japanese want, because in the 1980s, Singapore received the second wave of investment from Japan. So by the way, Singapore first wave of investment came not from the US, not from anyone else. It was the Japanese. Okay, so the Japanese were the main investors in Singapore all the way to the 1990. By 1990, we go China. So from 1960s all the way to 1990, Japan. Coincidentally, 1990, Japan also started to stagnate, right? So let's look at this carefully. Building the MRT was this company called Sumitomo Corporation. Do you know Sumitomo Corporation? Huh? Yeah. You always think it's a Chinese corporation. So Sumitomo Corporation is still around, no? And there's this company called Penta Ocean that's going to build the Singapore to Malaysia, Bukit Chagak, JB, that one, right? The MRT, the Japanese company. They have been here since the 1960s. So that's why I'm saying that this whole thing, it was supposed to be the Chinese high-speed railway. They cut that and then they put Japanese back. So you can be very sure the Japanese are coming back. So perhaps you can go and pretend, go and learn Japanese a bit. Then look at all the Japanese girls like them pretty like that for a while first. Okay. So anyway, when they want to build that, Sumitomo is a corporation, it's a Keiretsu. Keiretsu is a business group in the Japanese. So one of those things that they have was a bank, like our DBS bank under Temasek, and then you got other consortiums there. So Sumitomo Group, you have Sumitomo Construction, if I'm not wrong, and Sumitomo Bank. So the deal was done between Japan and the Singapore government, Japanese government and Singapore government. So the Ministry of Trade there and our Ministry of Trade here. Okay? At that time was Goh Chok Tong as the what is it called? Minister for Trade and Industry. Okay? And Japan wanted to expand its production network overseas. So we need to comply with what the Japanese want. And one of the features was to build infrastructure. Okay, we don't have money. We don't really have that much money for MRT then. So what do? We get into a strategic partnership with Sumitomo Bank. So they own some shares of DBS Bank. Okay? At the same time, they lend money to DBS Bank. Okay? Basically, it's to control the construction and development. So what happened is that the moment DBS gets the fund at very low, 1%, 1.5%, very low. It's just like a token sum just to, just to make sure that it's a transaction. The DBS will be funding MRT. Okay? So the MRT, that the first generation is the East-West line. From the Japanese built all the way from Pasir Ris all the way till, if you ask me, Jurong East. After Jurong East, not Japanese already. The Chinese started, Koreans and Chinese started to build that. So our first MRT line was East-West line. The tunneling all done by them. So Raffles Place, they had to do a lot of tunneling. Wow, they use all the cheap workers from India. A lot of people die inside. So next time you go Raffles MRT inside, you see somebody tap your shoulder, you don't have a, Got a lot of people died there. Yeah. So when they construct that, it must be given to Sumitomo Construction. To secure the loan, you must give to Sumitomo Construction. And imagine how much land was collectivized. And the other thing, if you took, besides the MRT, there is another thing called road. They build road. So you have to resettle all the farmers there. And there's this department called Urban Redevelopment Department. Now it's called Urban Redevelopment Authority. Okay? So this is how all the Southeast Asian countries developed their infrastructure that were in compliance with what the Japanese MNC wanted. And that's how they received the investment from the Japanese companies. Malaysia did the same thing. So the North-South Highway, also Japanese. So Mahathir is a Japanese man. Yeah. You all laugh, seriously. Seriously. So when he won the 2018 election, the first place that he went to was where? Japan. Then he go and bow to the king, and then he lived another few more years. Okay. So the Proton is Mitsubishi engine, right? So they had the same formula here for Japan, for Malaysia, sorry. And for Thailand, Toyota is the main car manufacturer there. So it's the same formula that they have for Thailand. So you can see the Japanese production network is entrenched in Southeast Asia. Okay, so the amount of engineers the state have to produce to sustain that production network help those government to stay in power actually. Doesn't matter military government or authoritarian dictator, whatever you want to call them. As long as the people can put the money in the pocket, can go and enjoy themselves, authoritarianism is good. When no more money go to the pocket, democracy also is bad. Right? The money cannot put inside, Anwar Ibrahim also no good. So they want Mahathir. But everyone know Mahathir is corrupt, still never mind, can still put money in my pocket, good already. Right? So remember this, it's all about interest. So the state, right, must respond to the needs of the people. The needs of the people are quite simple actually. Majority of them just want to have an income, have a roof over their head, majority. Of course, after that, then you can talk about affluence. But if you don't have that job and the roof over your head, then your education has been all wasted altogether. Right or not? So that's why Lee Kuan Yew always say, you all don't understand, young people don't understand what is poverty. Or he tell you you're damn stupid like that. Because if you can understand that poverty, you will always think he's so good. He's so handsome. He looks like, God of all gods. Wow, we should worship him because he created jobs. He created MRT. Then now you walk out of your house, straight away you walk into the train. Then you come out, you see City Hall, all underground. Last time City Hall was what? Nothing. Just a padang there. Oh my God. So that's why they love him. So you talk to the old people, right? Don't try to persuade them. They will always say PAP is very good. Although they consolidate, they used to live in a village landed property, but it's village. But now I got, you know what? I got HDB. I turn on the tap, the water come out very quickly. I live in a village landed, yeah, but I have to go to the well, to collect water. It's very stressful, Okay? So that's how, at the early stage of industrialization, authoritarian government can stay in power. Okay? And it's very easy, it's easier to be a bureaucrat. Because all you need to know, because you are you know what, you are the elite among a lot of stupid villagers, right? They don't know what the hell is all this modernization. Any country you go, the rural and the modern area, the people know the management. The rural area, you tell them what is this thing called liberalism, huh? What's that? Mercantilism. Sawadee Kap. Kap Kung Kap. I don't understand what you're talking about, man. Are you okay or you? Right, liberalism, that means you become prostitute is accepted, liberalism like that. In Thailand, prostitution is an occupation to them. You don't go and disrespect them, Take out knife, you die, In Singapore, prostitution is exploitation. In Thailand, it's called freedom, Get out of poverty. You have to understand their culture, So, but it doesn't mean you hey, good occupation, I like your occupation. Okay? So, but then you see how the state respond accordingly. You must be able to understand this. How the MNCs use the state and how the state in that bargaining relationship got the country out of poverty. But if you ask me, if there wasn't collectivization, it would not be possible to modernize so quickly. There is no way a developing country with a democratic government can come out of poverty that quickly. You cut across all countries the same. Whether it was Britain, it was United States, whether Singapore, anywhere, China, it started out with authoritarianism. But there will always be trade-off. People have to sacrifice for the greater good, they say. For the greater good. What is the greater good? That means today the old people can walk out, don't worry, got no light, In those days, I'm not sure about you. My time, there's such a thing called blackout. Have you experienced blackout in your life? In Singapore? As in like the whole block blackout? Ever? Is it? Wow, I never experienced it. I don't know why. Oh, oh, is it? But no, these days now have not. Now don't have really, right? Yeah. So maybe they tell you the word blackout, like yeah, but now you don't feel it at all. When I was studying at RSIS, there's this Nigerian guy. Sam, something I love of your country. I say, what is it you love of my country? You didn't have a blackout ever since I came here. I'm like, wow, is that really that important to you? Yeah, we have that every night. That is the kind of situation they are in. They never know when is a blackout. Okay, so let us continue next week, because I want you to just have a grasp of this, how the MNCs have this bargaining power of the state. The bargaining relationship is here. All right? So I see you after the Lunar New Year. By the way, it's not just Chinese New Year, it's Lunar New Year. The Koreans celebrate, the Japanese celebrate, the Vietnamese celebrate, not just the Chinese celebrate. A lot of people say Chinese New Year is very discriminatory, Chinese New Year, then what? Korean not celebrate. Okay. Any question online? No question. Well, Felicia want to go off already, I know. Bye. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Yong Seng. Bye, Marcella. Bye, Francine. Bye.